Please rise. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear Lord, thank you for letting us gather tonight and bring us together as a council to make wise and informed decisions for the betterment of the borough. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Executive sessions held March 18th, special council meeting, April 1st, special council executive session, April 8th, special council executive session. Minutes from March 11th and March 18th need to be approved. Do I have a motion for those?
So moved.
Dave Preston. George. Any discussion? Roll call.
Jennings.
Yeah.
Williams. Yes. Schultz.
Aye.
Preston.
Aye.
Neely.
Aye.
Cole. No.
Are we ready for bills?
Yes.
Need a motion to approve bills?
I move that we approve the bills as presented.
Second.
Dave Preston. Any discussion? Roll call.
Neely.
Aye.
Vogel.
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye.
Williams. Aye. Preston.
Aye.
Jennings.
Aye.
Thank you.
Visitors, please give name, address, organization which you represent, and subject. Individuals, organizations distributing materials or information should identify themselves and the purpose of the distribution of their information. Individuals making comments relative to a problem with employees should direct their comments to council members or to borough manager outside the meeting. Being this is a business meeting of the council, it is required that all comments, questions be kept to 3 minutes per person. Visitors will stay and speak from the visitor seating area unless invited otherwise. If a visitor has more information to provide than the 3 minutes will allow to be presented, a written statement can be provided to the borough manager by noon on the meeting day to be copied to the rest of the council. Is there anybody here, visitors, that would like to speak? Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Did everybody that's in the visiting area sign in on the sheet that's out in the hallway? So everybody signed in. Perfect.
Before the visitor section starts.
It's already started there.
Okay, well, in the middle of it, I guess. The executive sessions, what were they for?
Contracts.
Contract issues.
What, like, details-wise? Because, like, you can have contract discussions in the open, so I'm wondering why they were in, contract discussions are never in the open?
Not for this anymore.
No, that is executive session.
Executive session.
Yeah.
Okay.
Contracts are
For both April 1st and the 8th, then?
Yes.
What kind of contract discussion?
Contract discussions.
That's it?
Yes.
Okay.
Alright.
The next thing is, the agenda should probably be posted on the website 24 hours.
Website.
The War Memorial Facebook page would be considered a web page. And it's used regularly for borough activities, other than just the pool. So it would probably be considered under the Sunshine Act as a website for the borough, since it's a web page the borough maintains. And it would be nice if the agendas were posted 24 hours in advance for the public to be able to view them, instead of having to come down here and read them on the window. I don't know if there's any case law currently going through on that, but I suspect at some point there will be, and it could be harmful not to post them for the public. That'd be all for the Sunshine Act stuff. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone? Y'all didn't just show up to watch us, I know that. Alex Schrader.
Yep, Alex Schrader, Schrader Property.
Go ahead.
I'm just coming before council now. We currently just bought a house on East 7th Street, and we just wanted to bring about they're eliminating the parking there that was on the street, or at least they've zoned it off and put grass in, and that's just concerning for us because we have a little small driveway. But this house, my brother's moving home from the military. He's in the Air Force, and this is a house we're kind of redoing for him. And we're thinking, they've got a nice backyard, and if we have birthday parties, anything else, we got, like 2 spots. And so the parking that used to be allowed on East 2nd Street was just very beneficial. And I know I've talked to all the neighbors on that, and we're all just very concerned about that. Another issue that I wanted to bring up was we did go ahead and remove the rebar that was on the front. It sat about belly button height, no caps on it, nothing. It was very hazardous. And my question was, I don't know who's liable for that, but normally when I've done any construction jobs or work in the oil field or anything like that, we always had to cap that off. And being that this is a really busy section, you got the park there, you've got the pool, you've got the low income. There's a lot of kids that come out of that. So I was very concerned with that, and I wanted to bring that up because there's still quite a few that are down through there. And so I just thought it might be something if we're going to zone these off, that we look at possibly just preventing an issue before it is resulting.
He stands in the back.
Mr. Wilson, do you know anything about the rebar?
Well, the fence posts, with their metal electric fence posts that were put in, and they did all have coffee tape and everything around them, and I put it up, and people keep tearing it down. So yes, the fence posts are still there to keep the people from pulling into the grass, because as soon as I pull them, they'll be in the grass.
Okay.
So that's the situation I'm in now. I tried. I tried, but people just won't leave it alone.
Yeah, well, I know where we're at. I'm talking the top of the rebar and the cap. Like,
Right.
it sits about this high.
Yeah, I know.
And so, yeah, whether they make caps for them, I've seen people put, like, tennis balls on them. But I was more concerned because we have kids coming back and forth. Am I liable? Is borough liable? And even outside of liability, it's just overall safety. I don't want to see some kid fall. It's just that height that I would be concerned about an issue resulting from.
Yeah, I can pull them all. That's fine, I can pull them all out of there. I don't know if there's another way to go about it, because if I cap them or put anything on, they will be stolen within a week.
Yeah.
They'll steal every damn one of the balls or whatever I put on, they'll come right along and steal every one of them from me.
Yeah. Well, and so I guess my last question to end this is, has parking officially been eliminated on 2nd Street? And that's just, I don't have a definite answer. I mean, we have it tarped off. I see we've removed the original parking, put grass in. But we, and I know talking to all the neighbors, we really would love to see that be back to parking. It's concerning for us. So I wanted to bring that to council and see if that's something we can look into. And, we'd love to see that return to how it was.
So currently there has been discussions about various parking. Nothing that is on the table that is up for discussion. If there is ever any change or adoption of a new ordinance, council will get it all wrote up, or whoever. Hold on, Mr. Koval. It'll be, you can put your hand down. We'll vote on it to advertise it to where it'll be put in the local newspaper. I can't say which ones. You'll have a chance to read it. It'll be posted out here. I believe that's going to be posted 30 days before we vote, correct?
No, it's not 30 days, I think it's 10.
Sorry. So there is a time frame,
Yeah.
and then it would come to the meeting, and then you guys could, anybody that has a problem with it or was for anything, could come and just show your support or disagreements with it, and then council would vote on it. So there is current parking restrictions, and it's all in the code, and you can find it on the website.
On the code website.
On the code website, if you Google, and it's like Canton Borough codes, it's going to come up with something. It's going to say 360 in it.
Code 360.
Code 360, and it's going to show all of our current codes. It does show restrictions in some areas. There's also the landlord-tenant one that has other restrictions there, or requirements, I should say. So, Alex, to answer your question, I think I'll probably go back to, I don't know if parking will be nixed on 2nd Street. I don't have an answer for that.
Okay.
I know we redid that road last summer.
Right, and so letters
So-
did go out to all of the people that lived along it, asking them not to park there to protect the edge of the streets. It was more a courteous thing at this time.
So parking is still permitted on Second Street, correct? This is a bit confusing right now.
Because it was shale or packed gravel, and so now they've turned it into yard. So, like, that was my question was, you know, is it, we'd have to redo it back to, you know, unless we want to just have parking be on the, so we just, like, is there a time frame that we're looking at? Is there an additional meeting that we need to attend? How do we know when this will be resolved? And, like, are we going to be able to return this back to parking and not, you know?
I would say the street committee should probably convene at some point. They will discuss and forward an opinion or a recommendation back to the rest of council. So time frame wise, I can't answer that. I don't know when they will be available to meet to decide all this. And then it would be after that, the next regularly scheduled meeting possibly. So it could be a month, it could be 6 months. I don't.
So, and that's where we talk about, like, and I'll make this quick, you know, the residents of Second Street, you know, being respectful of the removing of the parking. If there's no finality to it, there's no end, like, we have no idea, it's one thing to be respectful during snow removal, right? We keep them, but nobody can give anybody any answers, and they've taken what was parking, created lawn, and so at some point, like, you know, the residents just need to know what they are going to do, what they can do, and then, you know, when you're talking a difference between a week, a month, 6 months, it's just difficult. And so I'm not looking to, you know, create any conflict. You know, it's just a struggle for us because like Christy and Greg Nelson own the lot across. They've been wonderful. They've allowed us to park contractors, everything. But, you know, we're doing some work on the house, we're siding it, so it's just tough, because I even get contractors that pull up and you're like, hey, you gotta move, you know, we're trying to do what we can with it.
I guess I've got an agreement with a guy next to me because I have no off-street parking at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like my option is to park on the street or ask my neighbors if I can utilize their parking lot or their driveway.
Yeah.
Like I have nowhere to park besides on North Center.
Yeah.
Unless I have an agreement with somebody else.
And Second Street all has driveways.
So I understand. We'll get it figured out. I don't have time. So, Cole, do you have a question?
Yeah, I did, Mike. So I watched a YouTube video from the police committee, and I believe Officer Trent Wright probably said about right where I am. I believe Mr. Sealy said about where Mr. Brand sits. And he peeked around and said, we're going to put up no parking signs, correct? And they're referring to Second Street, and I believe, Amy, you said, yeah, he's already got them ready. Is that correct?
Yeah, he has them ready for when the ordinance is passed. I didn't say he was putting them on.
Oh, well, I just thought that was a bold statement, like you already knew the ordinance was being passed.
No, he just has
Okay.
parking signs available.
All right.
Right.
So we have to purchase them, or we have them?
We have them. We have no
Because there's
parking.
Okay, thank you.
no parking areas in the borough. Who was next? I seen a hand. Sorry, I don't remember your name.
It's Christy Nelson.
Yes.
I'm
Stand up,
at
please.
132, 140.
Now I know who you are. Yep.
Okay, so my question is that when we purchased our places, we had street parking. And that obviously made it so that we had ample parking for our apartments. But like at the ball field, there's not enough parking for the ball field, so they park all the way down both sides of the street and they use my shop, which I do not mind. But that's a concern. What are you gonna do with the ball field and all the kids and the parents? And that gets quite a bit of traffic.
Yes. So we've done improvements to the ball field. I know there was a parking space, at least one, and I know that doesn't help essentially. There's parking added there. And we're continuing still seeking grants for the pool area. As far as your tenants, you are supposed to provide off-street parking to them on the property. And that's been in the code. I don't know how long, but it's been there for a while.
Right.
So,
Just because when we bought the house, we were understanding that we had like 2 spots of street parking, but we don't.
Nobody has street parking.
Because you don't own this, like, and I'm not trying to be rude, like, as a property owner, you don't own the street in front of you.
Right.
Either the borough or the state does, thank you.
Okay.
So,
But as far as like the off-street park or on-street parking for everyone for the park, are they gonna be allowed to still park there? Because there's like 20 cars up there right now. And that's all right in front of my house.
So going up
South Washington.
South Washington. Don't have an answer for you.
That's why the ordinance is still being considered. It wasn't on the table tonight to be adopted.
Mr. Morris, go ahead.
Just a couple curious questions, as for the family living.
State your name and-
Sorry, Darren Morse, Morse Reynolds, I guess, represent, and my parents who couldn't be here. Just kind of a couple curious questions. What is the actual right-of-way, width for streets and roadways?
Dave Wilson, you have an answer for that?
You guys go right away.
Is it a beaten path? I know there's like a couple things, beaten path, or is it a certain measurement from center line out?
Certain measurements from center line out. Every street has a different one in the town.
Okay, do we have a map that states kind of what they are?
I have a sheet that shows the right of ways of all streets.
So if this is the right of way that the borough is implying back to grass area, whose property is that? Is that your responsibility now to come and mow this whole strip and take care of that because it's your responsibility, or is it still the landowner's responsibility?
Well, I think, and I'll go with Mr. Alex Schrader, I think he brought this up the same about some of the sidewalks 3-4 years ago, am I right? Alex?
About the.
Does that sound-
replacement. It was probably, yeah, I
Does that
mean,
sound kind of
probably
familiar?
maybe two, three.
And what did we ever decide on that, David, or who's?
Well, it's no different than on Main Street. It's the property owners to take care of it.
And go back to the property.
So they have no right to decide what is there, but they have to maintain it. Okay.
And it's just like, kind of the same with the sidewalks. The borough code states that we're all supposed to have a sidewalk in front of our house. And the resident or the owner has to maintain it and ensure that it's there for safe travel.
But the code doesn't say anything about having to have grass, right?
Hold on, Mr. Morris is up for.
I'm just trying to clarify.
Okay, well, a couple other things I just want to touch back on a little bit. With the poles that were in down there, for the safety, to caution that off. To me, that was very concerning, especially with all the kids running around. That is a very easily impalement, okay? Whether they're stolen or you have to find one that is set screwed onto them so they can't steal them, I think would have been a way better find or cost than getting our town sued by somebody, you know, and then also a life possibly lost, you know. So that was concerning me, just being around the area. And then also, back on the pool area too, really we might have only, 6 parking spots down there for a community area, right?
You could fit 15 cars in there now since they enlarged the parking lot all the way.
Well, half of them, you can only fit maybe a 4-foot car in though, because of the trees. You can't, like, I couldn't pull my van in there, I couldn't pull my truck in there, you know, so.
I trimmed all the trees back and everything. It's all done for vehicles. That was the purpose of it. But I mean, I understand, I'm not arguing, I'm just saying, I did all this work to give everybody more parking down there for the playground and for the rec area and all that.
So I'm just kind of curious how we have a community spot that really doesn't allow your community to take the best advantage of. Same thing, I'm just thinking maybe there's a way to look into, extend that parking down somehow, I don't know, especially like we have the Little League stuff there that they use for practices and whatnot.
Is that on your
concern?
Not understood that.
But then my last thing too is like, back a ways, we just redid their 2nd Street paving wise, you know. I'm just kind of curious also on the engineering behind that just a little bit. In the past, they had South Center Street paved that goes by my building.
Yep.
If you actually go down there and look right now, really it was kind of paved just that little width, okay, and nothing was ever packed. It's like totally falling apart already because the edge is never like sealed with a berm or something, or even down at 2nd Street. If we would have thought about it maybe a little bit, would we actually been better off to actually pave out to the sidewalks and actually then allow street parking on one side maybe? You know, where do we get the engineering to decide these projects?
Will be all taken into consideration for the next one.
Okay, because like even like in front of my apartment building, and this is not recently, okay, they just replaced it, but over the years they've added 3 inches, 3 inches, 3 inches. Guess where all the water goes? Downhill. Guess where now, after adding about 8 to 10 inches of pavement or more, it's all sloped to my apartment building. Guess what it's?
Is South Center's part of the state or is that ours?
Okay.
That's ours.
Just,
So actually, that would be Second Street that's running the water now. They've built that. You could actually, before they paved it, they took it down to actually an old finished grade.
Mhm.
They took like 3 inches off. And I know it was discussed in meetings, but I don't think like I ever really got notice that that project was happening on Second Street period. I was actually away on vacation. I came back and the street was gone. I'm like, what the heck's going on?
okay.
And then I got a note in my letter in my mailbox. Only I got a letter. I know you may not have the best tenant list for me. That's my fault for my apartments down there. But there's at least addresses there.
Okay.
Even my tenants had no idea. So they come out one morning, they're like, we can't get out. So, or they couldn't get back into their homes to park, you know, in my parking lot. So I think a little bit of extra reach out to the community. Hey, you know, this is gonna happen, you know, because I have a building here, but I don't live right here, so I don't really get all the, you know, bits and pieces to what's going on. But definitely my tenants could have been a little more informed. I don't think anybody down South Center Street got a notice until like 2 days before that happened or whatever. So
Take that all into consideration.
it's hard to come and discuss things when we don't hear about it. It's not broadcast throughout the community. Which comes back to, it'd be nice to actually have a website that would list a lot of these projects upcoming or in discussion about to, we can pop on, look, hey, there's gonna be discussions about this and this and this, you know?
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Yep, sorry.
Anybody else? Go ahead, ma'am.
Linda Thomas, I live up on Lake Hill, my husband and I, and this once again is concerning that ordinance that supposedly is going to be passed or is going to be offered about the off-the-street parking, you know, no parking on the street. I represent, well, my niece lives on Montague Street and she has family gatherings. She doesn't have a lot of room in her driveway. So, I mean, we're all going to be ticketing for going to our
I don't have an answer because the
gatherings.
ordinance has not been passed. I don't know
Right,
when.
but according
This
to
was all
Mrs. Seeley, she said when it's passed. So they have the signs ready. Well, isn't that putting the cart before the horse?
So if whatever state that it's in, if it's passed like that, like, it's not even close. I can tell you that. Like, I don't know the last time we talked about it. So, but I can guarantee you that all this will be taken into consideration when it gets revisited.
Okay. Now, what about, like you said, it'll be in the paper. A lot of us don't get the paper, huh? You know,
Alright,
how are we gonna?
so the law says that we have to put it in a local newspaper and advertise it. It will be here too. I think it was Alex that said something about the web pages. I don't, and that'll be looked into to whether or not we can do that. So I know the borough does not have one officially. So we used to have a web page and that was taken down sometime last year, correct? So,
Yeah, well, what happens is that the borough, if they gotta deliver it, but they've gotta, before they can even deliberate and pass, Linda, they have to advertise it. So there's gonna be some discussion, somebody has to make a motion, somebody else has a second. That we advertise this particular ordinance, and then that'll be advertised in the paper, but at that meeting, it'll also be available here for anybody who wants to come in. It's interesting you brought that up because I was coming after church yesterday. Somebody came up to me. I went down to get some coffee and some quiche, and somebody came up to me and said, "Hey, I heard you're passing this new this parking ordinance." And I thought to myself, I was kind of embarrassed because I thought, geez, have they been discussing stuff? I wasn't paying attention.
Right,
And I keep myself involved. I mean, even if the Yankees are on, early, I try. I honestly don't. I really try to pay attention. And he threw me off. I said, Jeff, I didn't know. No, I'm not aware of it. I do know that the council is this. They've talked about it generally speaking. But I don't know. I mean, I usually am. The one that helps, draft any kind of ordinance. And nobody's ever brought that to me yet. I mean, the council hasn't done that yet. And I don't even know what the substance would be. Now, there may be, and council can do whatever they want, but it might be nuanced in that, you know, there might be certain times or what have you. I don't know if anybody's ever discussed, you know, a blanket prohibition, like no off-street parking in any shape, way, shape, or form. It might be a little bit more, you know, so I don't know, but
Right.
it could be. I'm just saying, the potential, there could be, you know, a limited one, it could be, and it could be very nuanced. So, so I don't know. I don't know what form it'll be in, but when it is, the way it'll work is, somebody will have to make a motion that we, you know, we advertise it, some discussion, and then, how we want to have it drafted. And then there'll be somebody will motion to advertise it, and then there'll be a second, and then it gets advertised. And then, of course, at the meeting, we'll also make sure that everybody knows it's available here. So meeting it, maybe they always come in and take a look at it. And then there'd be another meeting to actually adopt. And that's when people come. I mean, that's great that people are here because, you know, when you get here, you're informing the board that you've got reservations about this, that, and the other thing. And
I've never been to a borough council meeting, so
well, no, but
this is my first.
No, but you did. That's good. And so they take in consideration what, you know, the concerns of Alex and yours and Darren. And they can decide, you know, like, are we gonna do this and how are we gonna do it? And then, you know, how broad is it gonna be? How limited is it gonna be? How, you know, and then they have to decide, like I said, this is how we want to do it, we want to advertise it. Then they got to come back, and then people can come and talk about it, and then they have to determine if they want to pass it. If they pass it, fine. If they don't, then somebody might make a motion to kind of, let's say, amend it or you know, rewrite, whatever. But anyway, yeah, we need your input, so
Thank you.
That's good.
And I have one
Thank you.
more
Go
question.
ahead.
It's just a quick one. What brought this all about, like the discussion for off-street parking?
You guys tell us, because
it
like
was-
in the last week, Facebook exploded.
It was in the
I know.
police committee meeting
So
Yeah.
with the video, and it's in video, so it was talked about.
It come from one of our council people that left. I was told this morning there was an issue a while back on Lycombe Street about it. And he told one of our old council members that, because I guess they wanted to take him on the street and basically beat him up and all this.
Oh, good grief.
Because he parked in these people's yard because there was no parking on the street. So he said, all right, I'll get this resolved, I'll take it to council and we'll get it so there's no on-street parking. So that's where I was told this is where this is all coming.
Originated.
Exactly.
Okay, okay.
Like I said, when I
didn't
seen,
know it.
where's she at? You, ma'am. When I seen her post on Facebook, I'm going, okay. I knew nothing about it, absolutely nothing. And
Could we get some clarity
No,
on
hold on,
what
sir.
ordinance motor vehicles is?
I think Linda's got.
Mr. Colbert, did you have a response to Linda?
Not a response, I kind of had a question myself, because I think if you look at the official record back in 2022, I asked at a council meeting, motor vehicle ordinance was on the agenda, I said, who requested it, what are we looking to do, where are we going with this? That was in 2022. But then when we fast forward to 24 here, the January, February, March meeting minutes, no motor vehicle ordinance on the agenda, so obviously council can't talk about it because that'd be a sunshine law violation. So I actually sent Amy an email and asked her to put it back on tonight for April. So at least I could have some discussion about it, because I'm on council and I don't know what the hell's going on.
so I was right, I was lost when I seen this all blowing up on Facebook.
Yeah.
You know, so.
So Second Street is
Oh,
still tarped off,
Hold on.
so.
I don't remember your name, but go ahead.
I'm Heather McNabb.
Heather, thank you.
Yes. My husband and I live on First Street, and we're one of several that does not have parking. We don't have driveway, we have off-street parking. But one of the things that I heard tonight was something about grants, which I'm a grant writer. I write grants for my organization. And we will take this into consideration. So I just did some research today, just a little bit, and I just want you to keep this in consideration. According to the census, census.gov, Canton's median income is $41,000. Okay, so if you go to Forbes, it tells you that the average driveway to put one in, minimum is gonna cost you around $7,000. That is 17% of somebody's annual income. So I just want you to consider what an expense it would be for somebody to have to put a driveway in.
I think the borough will do it.
And lastly, I just want to put out there the impact that this is going to have on people that make 41,000 or less. And this will impact your grants as well, because you're going to be unfairly discriminating against the poor. The economically disadvantaged, you can no longer say that you support that in your grants when you're writing them for roads. You just can't, because you're not. Not only would this create a financial hardship on families already paying for daycare, and in our case, college, this would be a social hardship for the elderly. When their friends and family quit visiting due to fines and lack of parking, they may have a parking area at their house for their car, but not necessarily for the grandkid that they've been asking to come visit for a year. And guess what? He gets fined or there's no place for him to park. So he's not going to come back for another 2 years. Our elderly already are isolated. I think that it would be wrong to further it. And George, I'm not sure what's funny, but
No, nothing to you, nothing to you, Heather, okay? Nothing to you.
All right. I have 7 vehicles, which is ridiculous. I know. But if I can't park on my street, then I'm going to come up here and park all 7 of them on the street that I am allowed to park on, because it's walking distance from my house. But I'm not elderly and I can make that jump.
Yeah,
so just something for you to consider.
Thank you.
Okay.
Go ahead, sir.
Ryan Schrader, Park Schrader Property. I just would like to ask the council, why don't you guys consider coming up with ways to increase the off-site or off-road parking for the entire town, so that it's less of a burden on everybody, instead of looking at removing what little parking there is. Let's make more parking, so the businesses, they have places to park, so the apartments, those tenants have places to park. I want you guys to make our lives a little bit better and not harder, and I bet, paving all the way out to these sidewalks would probably make the roads better, and it will allow the off-street parking. So please, I ask, just spend one session talking about maybe going through the opposite. Instead of trying to remove parking, hey, can we put more parking in our town for our community members?
I think you make a good point. And on 2nd Street, when they were gonna do this paving project, I asked if I could pay the difference to have that paved. And the funny thing is, my wife and I went on vacation, we were out of the country. I come back and my headlights shine down the street, and I said, holy shit, must have been murder down here. Why? So there's goddamn caution tape everywhere. But you know what? There was a 36-inch wide gap, not one cone, not one sawhorse or anything in it. But you know where people do walk? In the road. They don't walk on the sidewalk. So if they fall in front of my house, guess what? But then we put these stakes in without any, okay. Thank you.
Please consider that.
Thank you, Mr. Schrader. Go ahead. Sorry.
Keegan Wright.
Keegan.
Yeah, just to add to, just concern for when we do discuss the passing an ordinance, just considering parking, we're all about welcoming in our community. That's what our organization is about. And yeah, more parking is helpful. So that's our main concern there, and just wanted to add that to your list and take you through advisement. And then also, just people mentioned about transparency, about putting these notices out more. I would just highly encourage that any way as possible. It's like, I know things can get heated sometimes, but we're a community, we're here together, so the more that we can be informed together and make decisions together, the better that is. Might have some more discussion up front, but at least we can all come on board. So that was some suggestions. We appreciate all you do. Thank you for your service.
Thanks,
Keegan.
Can I ask you a question? No. Did you notice that you got in the mail, did that say there'd be no off-street parking?
I believe that's how.
Okay, so that really wouldn't be valid, because we're talking about on-street. They basically were telling us we can't park in our driveways, right? I believe.
It said off-street,
Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure.
Is there anybody in the audience that is for anything that's been speculated about? So I'm not trying to not let anybody have a voice to talk. I assume everybody in here is not. or is partly against revoking some on-street parking. Is that a good assumption to make? So the lady in the back corner, go ahead.
Hi, Deanna Watkins on Main Street.
Which street?
Main Street, East Main, sorry. And I did make, I hope, a respectful post on Facebook about this meeting. And I wrote a bunch of things, but everybody kind of has already covered that. So I'm wondering if you could, during the discussion about the motor vehicle ordinance this evening, could you read that ordinance for us so we could all hear what is being discussed? So we know where we're standing. And other than that, I just want to, I'm just gonna read it. I'm just asking each member of the council to consider the people that this ordinance will actually affect. Is it your elderly grandparents who have to walk a half a block to get to the church door? Or your recently married kids trying to get a start living on their own and maybe throwing their child's first birthday party? We all know those are crowded. How about your family, unfortunately, having to gather to mourn the loss of a loved one? They shouldn't, have to search for a place to park. They should be able to get to, to where they're going, all of those people. I did just have a question, I guess, comment, with the letters that went to the 2nd Street folks. Mrs. Seeley said that the letters asked them not to park there, but I don't think that was an ask. I think it was a told, because there's stakes in front of all of their houses. So to me, that's more of a statement than a question. And I don't live there. It doesn't affect me, but my friends and neighbors do. So I'm just concerned for the community. Thank you.
Go ahead.
I appreciate everybody that's here tonight and everything you've had to say. If I could, just a couple of things. 2nd Street was the beginning of a town-wide project. Call it a beautification project, if you would. Everybody, I'm constantly being told you need to bring things to town, bring things to town, bring things to town. Nobody's going to come to a town that looks bad. And so it is a town-wide project. Going forward, we have discussed curbing, which would be the whole width of the road, so there would be on-street parking. I've been told by several people they really like how 2nd Street looks. It is a definite upgrade. The vehicles parked along the edge of the road, they don't look well. I find it ironic, it's still parking, but a different subject. I get asked about once a week what I can do to eliminate parking on Main Street and Troy Street. And I find it quite ironic that, here we are, we're trying to get, everybody wants more parking, but then everybody tells me to eliminate parking. And as far as parking for the businesses and everything downtown, there is a very large municipal lot that is pretty much unused behind the bowling alley. But as far as the project going forward, there will be studies on the curves of the roads, which will be from sidewalk to sidewalks. It'll make it much wider, quite similar to how 154 looks going down from the Acorn, but that's a state street. There will have to be studies because that is going to raise the price quite substantially.
Concrete's expensive.
Yeah.
It's still going to be less expensive than everybody putting in a driveway. I'll tell you that.
Mr. Vanderpool, was there a study done here on South Center then? Because you paved all the way up to the sidewalks, correct?
Well,
people are parking there.
That was before me, Brian. So
That was
before me. So
well, I guess in a nutshell, how would on-street parking generate and benefit the general public, the general welfare of the public? How's it going to, what's the benefit?
That'll go to the street committee and they'll.
Okay, I just thought maybe you could tell me because I don't see it.
we'll discuss that street.
Mr. Anthony, do you use both? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I'd like to know, it's pretty clear that nobody in this room wants this. So quite frankly, it should be just stricken.
Yes.
And there's no sense of having more debate about it. The town does not want it. And I've seen the Facebook page and it's not wanted.
Problem is, you say yet, and we don't have any yet. We don't have a plan. We've discussed possibilities.
Yeah, well, then
We
there's no
have
sense
a
of
whole
discussing it
marked off,
anymore.
and it has been eliminated.
Okay,
Soil's
go ahead,
gone.
Mr. Anthony still has the floor.
So it should be just stricken.
Yes.
And at the other point here is, how exactly is this voted upon? Is it voted upon this council? Is it the majority rules?
If it does, whenever it's.
If it comes up for a vote? Okay.
And again, all this will be taken into consideration. Anybody else that hasn't spoken, hold on a second,
Just
that
one-
hasn't spoken.
I would just say one quick comment. I would vote to strike it immediately and no longer even have to have discussion about it.
So it's later on in the agenda. It'll probably get tabled to go back to let them, because there's stuff that they can sort out, weed out,
Okay.
change. So anybody that hasn't spoken.
I just have a quick question
Your name,
for
address,
clarification.
please.
Megan, Southside Road.
Last name?
Palmer. I just have one quick question. You made the comment that there is a website for ordinances, but there's not for public knowledge. I just want to clarify that because I just didn't understand.
The
So-
ordinances are online.
Okay.
The borough does not have one to do like
Okay.
calendar or anything like that.
Okay, and then my next comment was you may have made the comment that there was one, but it was deleted. Why?
Money.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. I just clarification. Thank you.
Anybody that has not stated.
Doug back here.
Go ahead, Doug, on that.
Doug McNabb, taxpayer. I'm in agreement with Mr. Neely. Strike it down. My other thing that I thought is, obviously, topsoil has been put down on the street. Has there given any thought to, that street was milled down, correct? Why couldn't millings have been put down or a 2B or a 2A sub-base, similar to what PennDOT does on the Borough roads, to prevent damage? Was there any thought to that?
I think Mr. Wilson said to us that, he told me anyhow, that was gonna be put back 18 inches of stone and the rest of it would be grass. There's no stone there. So we're just our yard's getting flooded. There's a great big huge pond of mud puddle at our end of our sidewalk now.
And it was done in the fall, right?
Yeah.
Tough to do stuff in the
So
fall.
I'm kind of curious myself why the stone was never put back. I mean, they had hawbakers come back and put modified in and pack it, and they rolled it and everything with a steamroller. He come through with a skid steer while we were on vacation, dug it all out, put topsoil back in, threw some grass seed and straw on it, and throw these stakes in there for kids to
I mean,
get
it's
hurt
just
on.
a thought that I had, and
Yeah.
obviously, once the stakes are pulled out, people are gonna drive all over and destroy.
Oh, thank you. I think you make a good point, and I couldn't agree more.
Thank you, Mr. McNabb. Anybody else that hasn't spoken?
I haven't spoken. No, my comments were on the Sunshine Act, which were.
They're in the visitors section, Mr. Woods.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
I specifically made that clear it wasn't. Ask your
No,
solicitor.
we got the number 5 visitors. I read my statement and you spoke. Anybody else hasn't spoken? Go ahead, sir, in the back, red hat.
Yeah, Mike McNabb. I guess my main thing is, they said it's not gonna happen like Center Street, Main Street. How long are those parking spots open? Like, is there any limit on how long the spots are open on these streets here, like
2 hour
Center
parking.
Street?
I don't have an answer for that. I'm sure it's in the.
No, we don't, there's no limit. Mike, I think.
So there's no limit, that's all I wanna know. I got 6 vehicles.
Yeah,
So-
We used to have a 2 hour thing, and then we eliminated that years ago, because it was just
Okay.
hard to enforce. Yeah.
Is it,
All right.
is it
So
6
they're
or
all
7?
And would a petition be better for this, or?
I mean, I think we, as a whole, have the general consensus. So, and it's all public record, it's documented, so I'm pretty sure the 6 of us right now have a pretty good idea where borough residents and taxpayers sit on this.
All right, that's all I got. Thank you.
So anybody else that hasn't spoken?
Solicitor Brand, Objections to the Sunshine Act, can they be raised at any point during a meeting?
No, they would be raised, I guess.
It'd be section 710 of the act, objections?
Yeah, I think you can early on when you.
Any person has the right to raise an objection at any time to be perceived violations of the chapter, of this chapter at any meeting.
Okay, well, I'll consult with that, but just shooting from the hip.
So I won't be permitted to speak, correct?
Not tonight, no. That's up to the.
Well, again, an apology if you're wrong.
Well, look, let's put it this way.
I'm just curious because
I'll
this
answer
is
your
the law.
question. Let me ask you a question. Listen, the chairman determines who gets to speak and doesn't. And if it's like a legal question, and I don't know the answer to that offhand, so I'm going to defer to the chairman, and then I can look at it and determine.
Chairman has to be careful though about who he limits to speak, right? Because he's let everybody speak, but he's not allowing me to speak.
Well, I think you did.
I raised my objections to the Sunshine Act, but I didn't.
No, that's fine.
Speak as a visitor. I specifically said that at the beginning, correct?
You were a visitor, but that's fine.
So anybody else that hasn't spoken on that? Anybody else?
Newspaper lady.
So the question, I guess, from what Amy's saying and also what David mentioned was, so there isn't currently any draft ordinance floating around of any kind about this or any kind of off-street parking or any changes to that? Nobody's got any kind of drafts, nobody's got any copies, there's nothing going on, just all came out of the blue or?
So there is a current motor vehicle ordinance that addresses parking issues.
Okay.
The discussion has been for the last 2 years, it started in March of 2022, to make amendments to that. And it has been through a couple police committee meetings and a couple street committee meetings, but no changes have been made as of yet.
And there weren't any of those sent to the whole council, because these guys all sound like they were.
Well, they all get like the committee meeting minutes, so if they read them, they would know it from that. And obviously 4 of the 7 of them sit on those committees, so they would know it from that. But there's not ever been an updated one brought to council yet, because there's the dynamics of, if a motion is going to be made to advertise an ordinance, which obviously incurs dollars, I'm going to review that ordinance in its totality to make sure that all of our parking spaces are actually where they are in the ordinance, or the feet distance from an intersection. Like, I want to look at those things too. So it's not just that's all in that same ordinance. So that's why there's been no draft
So
forward
that
yet.
ordinance would also regulate the parking spots that are also on the state.
Correct. It is all motor vehicle. It's snow removal. It's multiple
And
things.
you guys haven't made any changes, or floated any changes through David or to the rest of the council, you just talked about it at some of the committees.
Committee meetings. And I do think, George, the street committee did make the initial recommendation to bring forth the parking things, and then the police committee had recommended there was some speed limit discussion as well. But nothing's been drafted yet at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Roy.
I'd like you to review, because George and I are on the street committee, and I got elected on council. We had a February 16th street committee meeting. Motor vehicle ordinance review was on our agenda, 5A. And I believe, well, I record all the meetings. You told us, George and I, oops, that was my mistake, that's going to the police committee. And that has never been on the street committee ever again.
Yeah,
and like
I have the
said,
minutes where it's reflected in the police committee, actually. But
yeah, the street committee, you took it from the street committee agenda,
to
right?
talk about the speed limits, but the parking was addressed at the street committee.
Okay, well, yeah, that's been a while, but.
Yeah, it's been conversation over the last 2 years.
But once again, you left it off the agenda from January. Oh, on
And
the
I-
January agenda, you put 223 at the top. You might want to
All right,
take that
let's-
to 24.
Anybody that hasn't spoke? So, let me go back. Thanks,
Sherry
guys.
Lambert with the Canton newspaper. I'm getting a lot of questions.
The newspaper?
Yeah, Canton Sentinel, where the advertisements are being, because our paper doesn't get them, and we're a local paper.
Didn't we always advertise in the Daily and the?
We used to get them, but we
I
haven't
think
been.
some of it had to do with timing with some of them.
Okay. Well, everybody's asking us what paper, so I didn't know if we could be told what, if it's not in our paper, what paper it would be in, so
The
that people
Daily
know.
Review.
Daily Review.
Okay.
Can we advertise it
Maybe
too?
either.
Yes. Yeah, we can.
Okay, good.
That's cost money. So I will leave the next 2 people up to the rest of council. I know Ms. Thomas wants to say something again, and so does Mr. Woods. If the rest of the council is in agreement to let those two, and Alex, if the rest of the council wants to hear a quick statement from those three people,
Sure, I'll take one.
anybody that's in, doesn't want to let them talk? Ms. Thomas, go ahead.
This is not in regards to the off-street parking, but you said there was a municipal parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
And, right, and as you come in from the Lycoming Street entrance to go in, there is a humongous pothole there. Who would be in charge?
No, that's not on the municipal.
You're talking behind the pharmacy, we don't own that.
Yeah, that's the pharmacy
That's the
parking lot.
Pharmacy parking lot. We're talking the one up where the firehouse is, the water office.
It's different.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's two different, we actually own the one up there, and then, like I said, Jeanette, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but Canton Pharmacy owns the one that you're talking.
See, I didn't know.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, that's, who would I see about that?
You'd have to call the Dew Shore Pharmacy people.
Oh, okay, they're in charge. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Woods?
About the Second Street parking, on-street parking, is that permitted or not? Because it still was confusing to me.
I mean, I would probably not park in the freshly sodded area where they're trying to grow grass, and I would see the code to see if it permits or restricts parking on Second Street.
So the board's not sure?
Without reading the code, I can't really give you an answer.
Okay.
I'm not gonna look it up right now.
I think the board, when it comes to the time for the motor vehicle ordinance, I would recommend that you just decide to completely end any creation of an ordinance or not permitting parking on the street, just to stop wasting taxpayers' money, because it seems like nobody's for it. So you're wasting money by continuing discussion on it at a later date by creating one, and you're wasting especially time for the secretary creating one. So that's an issue, especially with the fact that there's a staffing issue currently. And that's probably too much work for the staff when there's a staffing issue is probably not good. And is there any work currently to solve the staffing issue?
Can I speak, Mike?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking down at the social hall Saturday on this, and I was very surprised because he said, Amy said there was a staffing issue in this office, and I'd like to know where the staffing shortage is, because, I mean, she's here all the time, so I just don't understand that one. That's kind of, you know.
And it must be pretty serious. She still hasn't emailed me the policy for the recording at the meetings. I would think that would be a 15, 20-second job. If she doesn't have time to do that, then she must be extremely busy, and we probably should be looking at getting a second secretary for the
I know it's
borough.
been posted right next to the sign-in sheet. I don't know if it's there tonight, but I know it's been there in the past.
It might be there, but that doesn't have much to do with the records request I had done.
Okay.
And the other records requests I had done, same response, that there's a staffing issue currently.
That'll be personnel, and we can discuss that in an executive session if need be.
Okay.
Okay.
That's what I'm curious on. Actually, who are the people running for the seat?
We'll get to that when.
Well, I was wondering because nobody can have a discussion about how they feel about somebody being on the board if nobody knows who's running for the board. That's all I'm curious on.
Next on the agenda.
Yeah, as soon as we're.
Will people be able to discuss it when it comes up?
So they'll introduce their names and they'll be asking questions. I guess there could be some public comment after that. Generally in the past, I don't think there has been. I'm not saying that there can't be. What's that? Yeah, so council would decide just like we.
Right, but you would want input from the community if somebody has issues with a particular person. And if visitor section is over, then they can't do it.
We'll visit that when we get there.
That would be everything.
Good, Mr. Cole.
President Schultz, I do believe that one point you actually, when we had our website, suggested that we put the Canton Borough official complaint form on the website so people could get it. Do we still have the complaint form? So these folks maybe could just submit the official complaint. I know Amy sent me an email. I didn't know if we still have that. We
I'm
could
sure
make
that
that
there's
available.
one that they can ask for.
Yeah, so if you guys want to email Amy and get an official complaint form.
Alex, for you next.
Stuff, the council will have to address it.
Make it quick, guys.
Quick thing, parking lot out back there for you guys. Would it be better to put actually lines or some kind of parking? Because to me, it's just a big drive-through thing. It's never been a parking area.
There's lines there. There's parking stall lines there.
Right there by the, just a couple of them there by the water authority. But
No, the lot's right
All the way
up
through there,
top.
there's the parking line down that whole parking lot.
only one row?
No.
No, there's 2 rows.
Two rows.
They need repainted.
Do they need repainted then? I can't.
Well, I'm
see
sure
them.
they do
Okay.
over
Probably
there.
after the winter, but.
Okay. So I always thought it was more like an area for the fire trucks and stuff.
No, that's the whole.
Okay, well, maybe that would be. Real quick, touch back to the beautification thing. One thing I'm like driving through town, I mean, I don't know if it's grandfathered in or whatnot, but I mean, maybe there's, I don't even know, but Brian Christ's spot out there, he's had that sign he wanted to relight, you know, I thought that'd be a lot nicer, kind of lightly lit and with new signs on it, but he got shut down that he couldn't re-energize that. How's that go?
He never got shut down. He was told he had to apply for a permit.
It's already been there though, for how long? Why would you have to apply for a permit for a sign that's been there
No,
forever?
not, the sign out front, he
Yeah.
was never shut down on that. And he can do that anytime he wants. That one, the one on the front of his garage is the one he wanted.
Okay.
And that's the one he was told he had to put in a permit for. And as soon as he's told he has to put in a permit, he decides not to do it.
Okay.
And that's the way he is with all of his businesses. As soon as he's told he needs a permit, he decides not to do it.
Alright, well, that's not to do, but yeah, I'll let him know that.
Well, actually, commercial, that would all be through code inspection, so it's not an option.
I disagree. You shouldn't have to do permit.
I agree with that.
Well, that's the other thing too, maybe we ought to think about actually working with our community more like, no, I didn't make it to the other meeting because I had issues, but trying to buy that property, maybe, actually, Alex owns it now, but.
A couple days.
Yeah. But, I mentioned something about a couple options down there, the only thing I got, and then I also, what would I do to take it out of those options, or even put those options available? I kinda got just a bunch of no's you can't do it, and said, hey, let's look at this, and just think how we could utilize this property for our community. Cause I even offered it as a recycling center for free, you know, stuff like that. All they got was, not allowed because it's zoned this, not allowed because it's zoned that. It wasn't say, hey, you need to come do this, and apply for this, and that, and try and see what you can do. Because right now, when I went and looked at it with another guy, just to look at it for purchase, the guy is walking around with it, looking at it. He came out of there, walking across the parking lot. He has a needle sticking out of his, not a drug needle, but like a cleaning needle, sticking out of his boot. There's people staying in there, it shouldn't be in there. Okay, so now we're gonna just leave it at that, where it's overgrown mess, looks like crap. You know, Alex is gonna fix that for us.
What place is that?
Yeah, well,
Where's this at?
That's,
The old S&D, right?
no, it'd be,
Sorry.
you know, the duplex across, it's 170, like 178 Sullivan Street, 175 Sullivan Street, comes with the barn, which is still on Sullivan Street, it's like 88 Sullivan Street.
Oh, okay.
It'd be on the south. So that's something that we're taking care of. You know, like I said, we'll own it a couple days. We're gonna haul it out and clean it. But I will agree with Darren in the fact that a lot of times you call, like, you're trying to figure out how to do things, what to do, and it is like shut down, boom. And you know what's crazy is, guys, you can be right, and still hurt the town. Right? You can be right and correct, but it's how you communicate. And I've noticed that with quite a few people in town. It's, so we have these rules. Let's just attack everybody that's trying to do anything. Let's not look at, hey, maybe we have too many permitted. Hey, how do we lower the non-essential things like siding, signs, things like that aren't a public hazard or an issue? So what is siding going to do to hurt, you know, to affect your neighbor, to hurt? You know, this isn't like upgrading electrical service, putting roof, things like that.
absolutely.
And how do we communicate? Because there has been, what I believe to be a very difficult communication process, especially dealing with the borough. And you can be 100% correct and still harm what's going on. construction, things like that. And I'd like to bring up, like Mr. Vanderpool's talked about, beautifying East 2nd Street. Troy Street and 2nd Street are two totally different and very black and white issues. All the main traffic through town is going through the intersection. When you're talking about 2nd Street and so on, that's hurting just the residences. That's hurting when my brother moves up here and has a birthday party, right? I own a business on Troy Street, okay? And I 100% understand how tight that gets. But if we sat down and said, are there any buildings that we as a borough could come in, maybe tear down, offer park? What can we do to offer more parking for businesses, right? That is local to businesses. If anybody hasn't noticed lately, we don't have a whole lot of businesses coming in. In fact, we have them leaving. And the way that we deal with, and I'd like to address Mr. Vanderpool on that, I mean, this seems to be across the board. The way that a lot of you guys are dealing with the current business owners and the current people that are trying to do construction and do things in this town is just the complete opposite direction we need to go. If somebody's trying to do something, maybe they're wrong, maybe, but we have absolutely no, hey, we need some permits, what can we do? You know, we're not working with them, giving options. You know, nobody just wakes up and knows how to do every possible thing. And a lot of times it just seems like things are different for every instance. And it's very frustrating because I know there's a lot of projects I'd like to do and I just don't want to go through the hassle, right? It is, it's very time consuming and I know it. I just sited a house in Troy. There's no siding permit. And I have the full email. I try to keep as much in email as I can, right? There isn't a siding permit. How do we eliminate unneeded and unnecessary permitting? And how do we start to talk about what can we do? As we all know, nobody wants the 2nd Street. We have gotten no finality on whether or not any of us can park on 2nd Street tonight, and we've all just gotten awestruck responses as to we all have no idea how this came about. We've shut parking down. We've tarped it off, right? And then we're just told we have no time frame. There's nothing. There's no response, no... What are we supposed to do? We have it tarped off. Then we're told, well, there's not even an ordinance. So can I just park there? And then well, it'd be rude if you parked in the grass. Guys, you gotta work with the residents. People, if you want people to come to town, want to live in town, want to have a business in town, you have to work with them. You have to be the borough that they know. When you call Canton Borough, they will bend over backwards to make it easier and better for
Canton
you.
Borough?
That's how it needs to be.
Oh, I was going to say.
It's not how it is.
We have had businesses come down within the last year, and they both come to this office.
I second that.
That's what they have to do, and they were given a list. And they both worked with the borough, and it's been really good. But, you know, the key thing right there, they come to this office and ask, what do I have to do?
So on the record, Mr. Vanderpool is saying that we have a large amount of businesses, double what I've explained have left, coming into town. And I think we can all, everybody here can see, possibly, it's not looking good, guys.
You want beautification, fill the storefront.
Yep.
Well, and, I mean, that's a whole nother issue. And, hey, I'm free to talk anytime you want, Al.
That has not been my experience, for the record, Dean.
Yeah.
Anybody else that hasn't spoken? Anybody else? Visitors section is concluded. Business council vacancy. So Mr. Bob Johnson resigned here a little while ago, so we have an open seat. And there are 2 people that sent letters of interest. So council received those letters. Did everybody have a chance to read both of those? So we have Mr. Sean Packard. Looks like he's lived here, moved away, came back. And then we also have a Mr. Peter Ferrari. Moved in like around 2020. I'm sorry, let's go back to Mr. Packard. Paramedic, criminal justice, some law enforcement, and I'm just paraphrasing, so please don't take that Mr. Ferrari, moved in 2020, engaged in community, church-related programs. So yeah, that's about it for both of them. We have a list of six questions. So I will ask, so the first one, and it's gonna go back and forth. So if we start with Mr. Peter Prairie, you'll answer, and then Mr. Packard, where are you at? Okay, thank you. So please, when you both answer, please stand so everybody can see you. And actually, I'll give you like two minutes to, if you want to introduce yourself, you can. That way everybody can kind of hear who you are, why you're here. Just kind of keep it short. Go ahead, Mr. Ferrari. And am I pronouncing that correctly?
It's Ferrari.
Ferrari, thank you.
So, I'm Pete Ferrari. I moved into the town back right around the beginning of 2020. I'm the current director up at New Beginnings up in Leroy. I'm in the process of purchasing a house on East 2nd Street. That's about all I have for it right now.
Mr. Packard.
Sean, I'd say a vast majority of individuals should know me or know my family. Father's a local businessman. My grandparents were heavily involved in the Moose, the fire department, local activities. I've been a police officer for almost 18 and a half years, paramedic for 13. Started my career as a paramedic in Western Alliance, taking care of everybody that has raised me in this community, and then some. You know, I'm 100% to back this community and make it better. And as you see from tonight, a lot needs done.
Thank you. So first question, Mr. Oh, I'm gonna get this wrong again. Sorry. Ferrari. Geesh. What is your opinion on the taxes in the borough? How should we address the fact that we have run into a deficit for a few years and are lowering our reserve fund?
So, living in other towns and paying other taxes, I know, as of right now, they're the lowest taxes that I've ever had to pay. As far as reaching, you know, differences in deficits, I think we can look into, you know, what we can do as a community to kind of raise the funds and meet that deficit.
Thank you. Mr. Packard, do you need me to repeat the question, or are you good?
Absolutely not, sir. I'm more than welcome to talk with that. And that's the whole issue at hand here. There's no tax base because it's harder than hell to get a business to come in here. Okay, pardon my language, but that's the truth. Okay, Mr. Van Poel's got an established business that he either bought, inherited, or took over, one or the other. Okay, there are some others in this community that have had that luxury. Schooner is another example. But as far as ones that have tried to start stuff up and maintain, very few, other than the bars. Okay, we've got to look at options to expand the tax base. That way, that also fixes the problem of your police officers at $18 an hour can get a couple more dollars. And hey, we don't have to work 3 jobs, we can work 2. You know, look at it as Mr. Arthur Neely said, filling the empty storefronts. You know, paying them, you know, offering incentives. There's things that need to be done. In Bradford County, we are number 3 by total land area. Population, we are number 4. Why are we struggling? Has anybody ever looked at that? That's my speech on that. You know, we got to bring a tax base back here because, as it's already been pointed out, somebody put a driveway in for $7,000. That's 17% of their income. We're not going to survive. This community's not going to survive with that. You know, as I've seen in the last police meeting, we had one police officer go from full time to per diem. So the per diem goes to full-time. You're just playing, rotating people around. And eventually, like a couple have already talked, they're gonna go to the east side of the county where they're making $6, $8, $10 more an hour. They are born and bred Cantonians. Why can't we keep them here to protect us? And I've tried to explain that to a couple of them, and get no response. When I was a police officer, I interviewed here.
I'm not trying to cut you off. Keep your question or your answer to the question was asked.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm done.
So, the next question is for you, Mr. Packard. Other than serving the public or giving back to the town, what motivated you to serve on council?
I think I already addressed that. There's a lot of issues that need looked at, and I think you need a wider variety of individuals with backgrounds to address these issues. Fresh thinkers.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Ferrari, same question?
So yeah, I would probably just kind of piggyback on that. I moved into the town, like I said, about 5 years ago. And me and my wife, my family were instantly drawn to the community lifestyle. My wife called it a Hallmark town. And if you are friends with any of the business owners or the people that are part of the community, which in this short amount of time, I know a lot of them, they're very welcoming. Our first Christmas, we didn't have a cookie sheet. And I told her, go up to the pizza shop and you can probably get a cookie sheet. And so I do know that there are a lot of issues on the table from time to time that need to be addressed within the community. And I think I'm exactly what he just spoke to. Fresh perspective, someone new to the town. I deal with a lot of men, a lot of families that are moving into the town, and they have that outlook, they have that fresh perspective. In the field that I work in, generally those people are moving into the town because they want what Canton has to offer. Coming in and out of the town, you see that sign that says welcome to Canton, see our church community, right? And then you have the ministerium that's here tonight, which is pulling all these different denominations and all these different churches together as a community, and that's what a lot of these people are looking for, and that's kind of what I'm part of right now, and I'd like to bring that perspective and that into the town.
Thank you. Mr. Ferrari again, what do you see as the three most important issues the borough is facing? And of those three, what is the single most important?
So, again, I think we're all kind of talking about the same stuff here. Bringing in businesses, bringing in places to stay. I know before I lived in the town, just coming into the town on some of these things that are offered, like the annual bike rides, the Canton downtown celebration, things like that. People are coming into the town. I have family that comes into the town. When they come to visit me, they have to stay miles and miles away. Or, for example, this week we have a banquet for New Beginnings. My mom's not sure if she's going to come or not because she's driving 5 hours in for a 6 o'clock banquet. Where's she going to stay? She could possibly stay with us, but my wife's mom's coming in from another town, an hour and a half away. Where's she going to stay? So those seem to be, I know you said three, and besides the other issues that are on the table right now, they're really the two biggest things I see in the town is bringing in businesses, bringing in places to stay. And just to kind of piggyback on that, I've recently joined the Chamber of Commerce, and I'm not going to quote numbers because I don't have that great of a memory when it comes to those things, but there's so many people signed up to be part of the chamber, and only a handful of us come to those meetings. And those meetings are to discuss what businesses can do to make their storefronts look better. And there's a lot that we discuss in those meetings that I think if business owners that are signed up or aren't signed up come in and be a part of that, I think this town could really thrive.
What time are those meetings?
Oh, Mr. Packard, same question.
like Pete said, it's hard to get to 3, but I think I've got to 3 sitting here thinking. The biggest one right off the bat, and I think everybody in this room and the community will agree with me, is business diversity. We need more. We've got to fill the storefronts. That is, the whole key to raising the tax base to bring people in. Troy is smaller in both size and population, and they've got national chains building in their borough. Why can't we pull that off? What's holding us up? I've heard all kinds of, it's the location. 14 and 414 are 2 major routes, just as much as 6 and 14 are. A second one that's been in recent news is public safety. Fire, police, EMS. The borough's popping shots at the fire department for stupid stuff. Our police officers who were put through school by the borough now don't want to work here because they realize what they're bringing home. EMS. Do we have a staffed ambulance down the street tonight? We may or we may not.
We do.
Things that, a fully staffed ambulance, Doug?
Yeah, fully staffed.
Are you part of that? Yes. So it's not fully staffed, it's partially staffed, but still,
Well, that's not
public safety here is, a major concern. And yeah, I've been part of it for the last 30 years of my life in different communities, but I've always come back to here. And I think the third one is public communication. This borough doesn't have the proper communication for its citizens that it should have, and that's already been addressed tonight. The 2 big landlords that stand over here in the corner, they've addressed that. They don't know what's going on. There was a website up until a year ago. Don't tell me it was cost prohibitive. That's a job that a junior councilman can run. They're high school kids. They can make that thing stand out like there's no tomorrow. Show me a high school kid that can't. And that puts something on their resume. Hey, I was a junior councilman, big deal. But I also ran their website. That makes the borough, the council members, the community, a shining star on their resume. That's the big thing. Facebook is not a web page for a borough community. We shouldn't have to find things out through 6 different people for what's going on, especially this alleged ordinance that you've already blocked off in front of people's houses and planted grass that's now their responsibility. That's piss poor communication. It's just like a marriage. You talk to the ones that have been married 50 years, they got fairly decent, good communication. You talk to the ones that have been married 10 or less, they fight all the time, or they don't talk to each other.
All right, we got 4 more questions, so I think you covered it pretty good with your 3.
All right, Brian.
Thank you.
Mr. Packer, back at you again. What is your availability to attend and participate in the monthly meetings for the next year until the next general election?
Where are the meetings?
The second
Monday
of the month at 7 o'clock unless otherwise listed. There might have been one that was moved due to a holiday. I don't remember it now.
Right now, I'm off every Monday and Tuesday, and every other Friday.
Mr. Ferrari, same question. Sorry.
You're all right. I can make all of them as of right now in my calendar.
Thank you, fellas. Mr. Ferrari, what do you believe the job of a council member should be?
I believe the job of the council member should be just what we're seeing here tonight. Taking into account the community's input, putting it to a vote, and making the tough decisions. Even if, like Alex had said earlier, even if there's disgruntled and, doesn't line up with everyone's opinion, making the best decision for the town.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Packard?
Could you repeat that question?
What do you believe the job of a council member should be?
Represent the members of the community, their input, their concerns, and bring that forth to a group of 7 individuals that sit at that table to try to come to a decision. Whether good or bad, and if, we need other input, get people like this group here tonight to get a larger majority of the community's input. We're just a speaker, sounding board.
Thank you. Mr. Packard, again, what experience do you have with understanding balance sheets, budgets, and do you have any accounting background?
Do any of these guys at the table, including you, have an accounting background?
I don't.
So, I don't really understand your answer. You just answered a question.
Yeah, I answered a question with a question,
Okay.
you're correct. Well, I operated a grant as a police officer, did budgets, both in the EMS organization and law enforcement organizations. I got a decent handhold on it, I think. I'm not a certified CPA, but.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Ferrari?
So my current responsibilities within where I'm employed currently, it's my job to manage our budget and make sure that we fall within the guidelines of our budget. I've also owned my own company. I've managed a bigger corporation out in Appalachian before, where it was my job to make sure that when we were ordering things for the company, that everybody got paid, everything got ordered, and everything got taken care of. So yeah, same. Don't necessarily have the education behind as far as accounting is concerned, but managing QuickBooks and those sorts of things has been on my docket for many years.
That is our 6 questions. So I'll give council a minute or two to review answers and anything.
I think I've heard enough. So I'm gonna make a motion that we, I'm gonna move to, put Mr. Packard on council. Have him sworn in tonight and get a seat at the table. Somebody want to second that or no? Yea or nay? Second. I guess you're looking for
So there's not a time frame on when we have to have a second, but it's been over 30 seconds and there's been no second to the motion. So that motion, it's gonna fall off the table because there was no second. Anybody else? So if the council person is not appointed tonight, it'll end up going to the Court of Common Pleas, if I'm not mistaken, and a judge down there would appoint somebody.
Is it still too late to second somebody then? David, do you have an answer for that? I would have to review the book and
I think there's enough time.
Make another motion.
Or either one.
I'll second. I've been thinking. Sean Packard.
So Brian Coble made the motion, George Jennings seconded. Any discussion?
No, I think you guys are both very qualified, probably more qualified than what I am. But I think you both make good points that you just gotta be open-minded and, whether the decisions have a negative impact on you or not, if it's better for the community, yeah, but I have to vote for it.
There may
And I
be
understand that.
a second seat coming on.
So, yeah.
So just be aware of that.
So,
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Preston,
No.
Schultz,
No.
Neely,
No.
Williams, yes. Koval,
absolutely.
Jennings.
Yeah.
It's a tie vote.
There's a tie. In the event of a tie, the mayor does have a tie-breaking vote.
Mayor Vanderpool,
No.
Is there any other motion?
I'll make a motion to seat Mr. Ferrari. If I pronounce it correctly.
Same time frame, 30 seconds. There has not been a second. Is there a second? I'll second it. Put it on for discussion. Any discussion?
You work for CarQuest?
No, currently no.
You did?
I have yet.
Who's the manager? Could you say that again?
Dean Vanderpool.
Thank you, sir.
That sounds like a conflict.
When was the last time you were employed there?
I want to say it was about 2 or 3 years ago.
It's a conflict. It's a conflict of interest.
Conflict.
Because.
Were you aware of that, Mr. Franklin?
Was I aware that he worked for me?
That it would be a conflict of interest?
I'm not sure it is.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
No, it
It
isn't.
absolutely is.
Yep.
Prior employee, they've got a relationship established.
I have a relationship with you established.
How?
I knew you as a child.
Well, that's
That right there is part of the problem.
Yep.
An individual that I would call a friend sits on the other side of you, and he's trying his damnedest to keep his mouth shut.
I don't know if you just let the courts decide.
There you go.
That's.
I move to let the
No,
courts
there's
decide.
still,
Oh.
we're in discussion.
Oh,
In discussion, so.
Pete Ferrari, any other discussion? Roll call.
Koval,
No.
Williams. No. Neely,
No.
Jennings,
No.
Schultz.
Aye.
Preston,
Aye.
So the nays have it, and neither will be seated tonight. So this hasn't happened before, and I know it'll go to the Court of Common Pleas. It's gotta get turned over to them somehow, some way. I don't know their timeframes, or even if they have to pick one of the two that put in for it. So, so I don't know. I don't have a good answer for what's gonna happen or who will get appointed, and nobody here is going to have a say in it.
So we don't testify or have to attend the hearing?
Did I not tell you?
No.
Are they public hearings?
I don't have an answer for that.
Okay.
I don't, I'm sorry. So.
I think I'm gonna run.
So, that then takes off B from the agenda and the oath of office, because we can't swear anybody in, because nobody was voted. So, business report.
You have all of your financial reports for all funds in your packet through the end of March, as well as a first quarter budget report. Should you have any questions, you can let me know. The zoning report is also in your packet for March, as is the right to know report. Nothing new to report on the sidewalk loan or grant program. There is an earthquake cleanup scheduled for Saturday, April 20th, beginning at 9 a.m. at the War Memorial Park Pavilion. Maps for areas that need cleaned, desk garbage bags will be available along with plugs. As I'll state later, that will end up at the Morse Arboretum for the cleanup there about 11. There's also the borough's spring cleanup scheduled for the week of May 20th, and that cost is $70 a truckload with a $10 free on charge. People can come into my office to sign up and pay. There's a Western Mass Cog is sponsoring an e-recycle collection event Saturday, May 4th from 8 to noon at Alperon Park. All items can be found on React, R-E-A-C-T webpage, and the only fee is $10 for anything with a screen. No large TV consoles or CRTs are accepted or speakers. Councilmember Williams has agreed to step in as a signatory on checks, and I would need a motion to approve this thing.
I'll make a motion.
I say.
Brian, did you make the motion?
George and Brian.
Any discussion? No discussion, roll call.
Neely.
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye.
Coble.
Aye.
Jennings.
Aye.
Preston.
Aye.
Williams. Yeah, thank you.
Not sure? Thank you, Joy.
Councilman Neely came to me after missing last month's meeting and also expressed an interest in attending the PSAB annual conference. Essentially made a motion for that for Brian to participate for him.
Do you have her recall? Actually, I'm going to start this.
What's that?
So we get it the same.
I make the motion now.
Well, I just want to read it the same as yours, Brian. That way there's no, I'm just trying to find it. What's that? It was during the business report, right? Correct. Here we go. Yep. So the cost is just over $1,000. So, Brett, you won't be able to vote since it pertains to you. That's the same thing that we did with him. Let's see where. So you'll pay.
We can cover all costs.
Yeah. Did we?
Yeah.
So just need some of the motion for.
I move that we send Mr. Brett Neely to the PSAB annual conference in June and cover all expenses. Second.
Second?
George, right?
Thank you.
Any discussion?
You want to stay in a room? No, I'm just kidding. No.
Roll call.
Preston.
Aye.
Williams. Aye. Jennings. Aye. Neely. Schultz.
Aye.
Cole.
Aye.
Thank you, Brett.
At the annual conference, we do need a voting delegate, and I've done that for the last 20 plus years that I've attended. I would request that I would do the same. Brian and I actually spoke about it when he first got here. I don't believe he had an issue with that, but.
No, I didn't know what it was. We need a motion for that?
Yes.
So I move that Amy be the voting delegate. This will be my first time at the conference, and obviously she's been there several times and has a good understanding of it, so I think that would be the best interest of the borough at this point to let her do the vote.
Second.
Second. Do this one a little bit different because I have a feeling. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All in favor say no, say nay. There are no nays, so the ayes have it. Thank you. Exoneration list?
Yep, you have an exoneration list in there from Gary Gluckner for, $2,497.50 in 2024 occupation taxes.
I make a motion, we accept the exoneration list as noted.
Second.
Dave Preston? Any discussion? Roll call.
Jennings.
Aye.
Williams. Yes. Schultz.
Aye.
Preston.
Aye.
Neely.
Aye.
Vogel.
Aye.
Thank you. Under your correspondence, statement of financial interest forms will be May 1st. You have your PSAB update. The annual audit is in your packets. Watson Diesel's Spring Thaw Open House is this coming Wednesday. There's a Northern Tier Regional Planning and Development Commission meeting, full meeting April 19th, and the Bradford County Boroughs Association meeting April 24th, and that is all I have.
Where is that meeting now?
The Boroughs Association?
Yep.
The Villa Center.
That's Tawanda?
Well, down by the old bank. Oh, police department.
Borough has the police department report in front of them in their packet. There's discussion tonight on the ordinance for the on-street parking. I believe that's been pre-yard tonight. So.
I will say that in your packets are 9 emails regarding the same for you to take and read.
And I think if I understood it right, I think somebody wanted us to read that. What? That motor vehicle ordinance. That's gonna chew up a whole lot of time. And it's not even in the final stages or preliminary, I guess you'd say. You can find the current one online. If you Google Canton Borough PA code, it'll come up under that 360 site. So if somebody else wants to read it, have at it. I'm not going to do it.
It's not even in your packets, but
Yeah.
that's not why it was on the agenda tonight, so.
So could they be added to the official complaint form then?
What's that?
Whatever you're referring to.
Somebody wanted, I mean, if they want to complain that I didn't want to read a whole ordinance, it's still in a preliminary thing.
No, I mean, they could draft it onto an official complaint form though.
I don't understand your question, Brian. I'm sorry, I don't.
I guess I don't understand. Are you saying
somebody asked me to read it? I thought that was the intention of somebody out in the visitors.
Oh, okay,
asked
I
to
didn't
read
know.
that.
I thought you got a complaint, but
No,
you
no,
said
no.
it's too long.
It was tonight during the visitor section.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't know.
Okay.
Thanks for clarifying.
There is a resolution in your packets for records destruction for police records. It's 2024-7. But that should actually be changed to 2024-6 since you didn't the council vacancy.
So the record destruction under the police department will be changed to 2024-6, and we'll need a motion for that.
I'll make the motion.
Preston. Neely, any discussion?
This is the same schedule as we used in the past, is it not?
Correct.
Approved by the state or the county?
Correct.
No changes?
Correct.
Go ahead, Brian.
So you went from police report. Did you call ordinance number motor vehicles N under police?
Yes.
You did.
The mayor did.
Okay.
And that's where I said somebody asked me to read that.
I didn't.
So,
Can I make a motion now, or?
no,
Sorry.
so we already have one on the table. Dave Preston motion for the record destruction, and then Brett Neely seconded it, so we're in discussion. Any discussion other than?
I had my discussion.
Yep. Roll call.
Neely.
Aye.
Vogel.
No.
Schultz.
Aye.
Williams. Aye. Preston.
Aye.
Jennings.
Yeah. So. I didn't hear you say anything about the, I thought you were talking about the complaint form. So anyhow, I asked to have the motor vehicle ordinance added on the agenda. I did send Amy an email. And I wanted to be able to make a comment on that. So I'm gonna rise, make a motion. I move that we table the motor vehicle ordinance indefinitely.
I'm not, I can't talk about it yet.
Yeah,
I'll
you got a
second that.
second.
I'll second it. I'm not sure we have anything to table. We have an ordinance that exists. We haven't done anything to change it other than talk about it in
Well, how's it
committee.
listed on the?
It wasn't until you asked for it.
It wasn't until
The committee is reviewing and considering.
Well, I think the public already said, I mean.
But we haven't changed anything. We have nothing to change. We have an existing ordinance.
So you have a draft proposal tonight? Because I'd asked you
No.
before, you still don't have a draft.
No, that's.
You said there's nothing in here. There's nothing, we don't have it.
Well, what'd you guys, how
There's-
did she
there's the
come
current
up and saying
ordinance.
that she's got the signs ready to go? I thought you were
We have
providing us.
signs in fact, we've always had no parking signs. We can put them up wherever we want. If one falls down, we put it up.
Yeah.
We have spares.
There's always spare signs up at the shed.
We didn't order new signs for the project. We have spare signs.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought you said, once you put an item on the agenda, it stays on the agenda until it's been acted on. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And I told you in the email back that in copying and pasting things over, I missed copying that one over, and I had already put it on the agenda prior to you emailing me.
You said you missed it from last month though, but it ain't been on there for the last 3
Then
months.
apparently I've missed it from the last three, again, my
Okay.
apologies.
So there's other sections of that motor vehicle that are probably being looked at. Possible changes or additions to.
One is speed limit, I believe.
I would not table it indefinitely. I don't have to bring it back. It needs to
Well-
be reviewed like all ordinances.
The thing is, if we're gonna amend an ordinance, shouldn't council as a whole discuss it and then table it to a committee? Because I can't see anything in the records where you ever discuss the motor vehicle ordinance and table it to the police committee. I could be wrong,
They can
but if
bring
you
it
can
up
find
to-
something in the official record, tell me that, but it seems like you got 3 people that discuss the stuff and then, you know, so.
So, any other discussion? So, roll call.
Colvin,
What are we voting on?
You made the motion, sir.
Well, I second.
We're already at the second, we're at roll call.
We're at roll call, yay or nay?
For the motor vehicles?
Yes.
And table it indefinitely?
Yes.
Not definitely, but.
Absolutely.
no, his motion was to table it indefinitely.
Yeah,
That is the
absolutely.
motion on the table. Williams,
Come on.
yes. Neely,
I'm gonna say no, because there's other things in there,
Jennings,
other than
No.
parking.
Schultz,
No.
Preston.
No.
Alright, thank you. Back to you, Mayor, for P, parades, 5Ks, etc.
Okay, the only parade we have coming up is the Canton Area School District's annual graduation parade, May 31st.
We need a motion.
Need a motion to do that.
Do we have a time on when that'll start?
Approximately 7:45 until 8:15.
Okay.
What kind of motion are you looking for?
Just, they're using borough streets
Using
to,
the same route though?
Yeah.
So-
not the PennDOT.
No, they're using the route
The-
down around Elm Street.
So-
Same as they've used the last 2 years.
Is that correct, Ray?
Okay.
The time?
I'm reading from the school district's
I don't
letter,
know.
George.
Okay,
I haven't heard.
okay.
So moved.
Dave Preston, is there a second?
I second.
Brett Neely, any discussion on the graduation parade for May 31st? Roll call.
Neely.
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye.
Koval.
Aye.
Jennings.
Aye.
Preston.
Aye.
Williams, yes.
Street department.
Council has the report in front of them, nothing to add or change. I think Amy is put out, or going to send out notifications on the street sweeping project that's coming up next week for us, and she has more information on that.
There is a copy of what I sent to the Sentinel today, that the Northern Material Solid Waste Authority will be in the borough April 15th, 16th, and possibly the 17th. April 15th will be Main Street, East and West, North Center Street, Troy Street, Sullivan Street, Springbrook Drive to Dollar General. If those all get completed, then the side streets north of East and West Main Streets will be started. April 16th will be a continuation of the side streets north of East and West Main Street. And if those get completed, then the side streets south will be started, and then April 17th will be south of the. We would ask that all residents assist the borough by removing all vehicles from the side of the street during these times in order to effect a more efficient street sweeping process. And if downtown businesses want to spruce up the fronts of their businesses, including sweeping their sidewalks, we would request that be done prior to that sweeping. And then just a motion to advertise for a part-time seasonal help. Our one is not returning, so we need to get applications out sooner than later.
So I'll move that we advertise for temporary summer help for the street department.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Sure.
No discussion, roll call.
Preston.
Aye.
Williams. Yes. Jennings.
Yes.
Neely.
Yes.
Schultz.
Aye.
Over.
Aye.
Recreation,
Not much update for the, do anything on the pool for the engineering?
I was able to locate the old schematic drawings and they are being scanned and will be emailed as soon as I get them back.
Do we have any updates on grants, potential grants?
I got some. I talked to Mr. McClinkle over to the fire bank in Troy.
so, quick question. When you say Mr. McClinkle, you mean Doug or?
Doug McClinkle.
Just want to make sure.
Commissioner McClinkle, yes. He has told me that he has tried to communicate with Amy, and he's told me that Amy has basically ignored him. He told me the commissioners have a lot, there's money available for this pool. All we have to do is get in contact with one of the commissioners and they will get with us and discuss what we want to do. He didn't say any kind of amount of money, but he said there is money available to the commissioners for this pool.
Right now, we are waiting on engineering to see what the pool's gonna cost to be fixed this year. It hasn't been opened in, 3 years.
Just
2
the
years.
one.
This will be the second year.
This will be the second season
Right.
if it doesn't open. There is a lot of repairs that need to be made. The decking is falling apart that creates hazards for the kids. We don't even have lifeguards right now. I think we have one applicant.
Have 0 applicants.
0 applicants now. I did get approval to use the pool at Martha Lloyd. I can get an instructor if the time comes. But right now, we just need to see what the pool's gonna cost in repairs. And like Brian pointed out before, we lost $30,000 to $40,000 a year in operating for the pool. So that's one of those things is do we want to open it and keep eating that cost of losing money, or do we want to put something different there? But we can't do that until we figure out what the repairs to the pool are going to cost us.
So, I think if I learned anything from the fire contract, if there's money available, rather than wait till we want to open the pool, I say we get on it now, start seeing if we can get the funds, how they gotta be utilized, get this under motion, because you can't make up for time.
It's going to cost, is it going to be worth?
I know, but I'm just saying what
Mr.
Mr.
Closing.
Well, the thing is though, we've already done that. I think Dave redid the bathhouses and did put a lot of money
It's
into
the
it.
decking, it's the decking.
If we could do piece of decking with the money from Mr. McClinkle, then maybe the next year. We're doing it down there with our park, right? DC and our grants, we do this.
But the whole
or
problem
that.
is,
we don't have a
you
grant
just can't
for
do a
the
piece of that deck. You
gotta rip up the whole deck and
deck,
replace the whole
and
thing.
then you've gotta worry about step up, step down, so.
Then you have to
Because
meet
it's
the codes
the original
with
deck, and
Oh,
then
okay.
you have
There's
original
a lot of
deck, and then
stuff,
you have another
ADA.
4-inch decking on top of that.
So could we talk to him maybe about potential like a splash pad?
Probably.
Plumbing,
That's part of what the
Yeah,
engineer
that's part of the
is doing.
it's all what the engineering is
George?
doing.
George, thanks for that. There was somebody in the back that commented about the pool, I take it.
I just have a question. The lifeguard situation, it's an expensive training to do. Is there any way you guys could put grants or scholarships towards students to get trained to be lifeguards? Because that might be in the best interest.
That's been discussed, and I'm sure it'll get brought up again, because
Okay.
there is new people on
All right.
council to get there. Very good. Thank you. Anything else, Brett?
Yeah, on the corporation side.
Thank you. Code.
You guys have your report in your packet. Other than that, I gotta get a hold of him and see what he's gonna do, whether he's gonna stick around or we need to start advertising for another guy.
There's some doubt.
Huh?
There's some doubt.
I have no idea. I haven't talked to him much, so.
No new
Has
information.
Troy got a codes officer over there? They
I
have.
have no idea.
Same guy.
It's the same guy, John doesn't know.
Oh,
No,
he's
John
there.
doesn't do Troy.
Oh,
What did, I thought.
I believe the manager does it.
I'm sorry.
The lovely Dan goes.
Anything else for code?
There's,
Nope. Chief Miller, do you want to do the fire department?
Yeah, 31 calls for the month of March. What's that on generator, Amy? Any update?
Not yet, not at this time.
All right. I gotta get with Scott. We're looking at hydrant markers. I started looking at some. I know he's looked at some a while back, so we'll get that to you here in the next couple weeks or whatever.
3334 fees, $1,000, 20 cents for 30 of them to get started with.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, it was like, I looked at the hydrant map. I gotta look closer, but I think I counted like 49 hydrants.
So I just started with 30, you could cut it in half if you wanted.
Yeah.
Something like that, but they were 3334 is Traffic Safety Products, is the company that offers the cheapest ones I could find.
All right, then next thing.
So, next thing on there is a rescue agreement, expectations and contract. So, motion to pay the second, third, and fourth quarters on schedule. So, the second quarter payment of $8,946.17 on June 15th. The third of this $8,946.18 on September 15th. And then the same amount on December 15th. And pay an additional $3,314.88 with the first quarter of 2025 pending receipt of annual itemized listing of expenditures for 2023 and the most current 990 tax form.
Mike?
Yes,
I
sir.
thought you said at our one executive session at the very end of that, I thought you told us to think where to pull the money out of so we could pay the rest of the payments up to date as long as we had the rest of the paperwork.
So let's get a second. We'll have discussion.
Okay.
And then-
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Did you make the motion then?
I did.
Okay. Anyway, Red, I know you made it.
So that's my discussion.
All right, so, so we could possibly look at what George said, maybe taking money somewhere else, as opposed to deferring it to next year. Either way, I would say there'll most likely be a tax increase next year. So, rest of council.
Where would we get the money from, though? We can't take it from the general fund. Act 13?
But if we make, if we pass this motion now, then that gives us time to look for that. I mean,
What was the
that
motion?
doesn't preclude us from it.
The motion
To pay the next
Last year's fee.
3 quarters on their dates for the amount, which is actually from our last contract. And then what they wanted, to pay the additional after the first of the year, after the 2025 budget goes into effect and tax amount comes back.
I make a motion to amend the motion to add that pending the balance sheet, I believe in the general ledger, that we review our Act 13 and see if we can potentially fund the, what, $830 some or $70 every?
The difference.
Yeah, difference
314,
quarterly. So 8 times, yeah, 3,300. Yeah. And finalize this contract and hopefully next year we can not go through this misery. I think it's,
Well, so it's not 800 because we have 3 payments left. So
30
3,314
divided by 4.
88. We've only got 3 payments left. We've already made our
We
first
already
one.
made our first payment.
So-
First payment.
But your first payment was made on last year's contract amount.
Correct.
So the difference though would be 3,314.88 divided by 3 because we only have 3 payments coming up. It'd be 1,104.96.
A total of $3,300 and some change, right?
Already mentioned in this.
For the year. So I think, yeah, that's my motion, yeah. To amend the current motion.
And where did you want to take the money from?
Act 13.
The Act 13, yeah, because I'm thinking that we passed a resolution allowing us to take money out of a reserve with, I guess, Act 13. It's there.
Are we able, also, I would need a second for this.
I know we're gonna pull it up. Big mic from there.
Well, I mean, see what the commissioner.
Hey, can we get a second on it? So
I'll second.
Thank you. So, there's other discussion going on. Can we take the money out of Act 13 to pay for this, would be my first question. Okay, that's true. Is it going to deprive us of something in the future if we're gonna need it?
That's it, where does all the cool stuff come from?
Well, you've got the pool, you've got a street truck if we don't get that grant. We have 60,000 dedicated to the basketball court grant. So, I mean, is there money in there? Yes, but some of it is earmarked and, you know what I mean, there's some other bigger projects we're doing that would be money set aside for.
The motion is that we just investigate that in the future, is that correct? Not doing it today.
Yeah, we would
We
be
look at it.
pending.
No,
We
he
need
said to
another
add
motion
the
to do it.
pending balance, to review the Act 13.
Yeah, for potential that we could pay the whole
Okay, I
contract.
understand.
Yeah.
So we're not saying take it
I'm
out
not
there.
saying take it out of there,
Sorry.
I'm saying, I'd like us to look at that and see if that's something, because I believe we still would need some paperwork from the fire people.
They'll have
That's
that.
already on.
Yeah, just so we're following the
George covered it, got
code.
that printed out.
If we can't do it, we can't, but I just would like to look at it first.
So what
before
you're
I-
saying, if we look at it and then we need another motion to actually do it, so you're not making a motion to take the money from Act 13?
No.
That would be a
I just,
separate motion.
yeah, if we could look at, you know, just, so that's,
Look at it. Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I'll look at it. Who you want to look at it? You want to look at it?
I've already looked at it.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
So this is on the
The
amendment. right?
amendment to review,
Okay, this is on the amendment. Williams? Yes. Preston?
Yes.
Neely?
Yes.
Koval?
Aye.
Jennings?
Aye.
Schultz?
aye. So back to the main motion then. Is there any other discussion? Paid on time, pay the rest. They're gonna get us an annual itemized listing of expenditures for 2023 and the most
990.
current 990 tax form.
Yep.
Any other discussion on that? Roll call.
Jennings?
Yes.
Williams? Yes. Schultz?
Aye.
Preston?
Aye.
Neely?
Yes.
Koval?
Aye.
Thank you. Vince? You got anything besides bingo?
Sportsman's Bash this weekend, Saturday.
Time's that?
Doors open.
Doors open at 5, play starts at 7.
Thank you.
For 2 hours.
Thank you, chief.
Yep.
Email, Brett.
The March's report's in there. The Bradford County Emergency Operations Plan has been accepted and distributed. That's in place. They're gonna have a pop-up drive-through medication take-back and Narcan clinic on May 4th. Amy, where's that gonna be? Is that gonna be down here?
It is at the Public Safety Building.
Okay.
There's a flyer in your packet.
All right. Get that out. That'd be a good thing. And then we only got a week left, but Bradford County had a burn ban out from March 15th to April 14th.
There's water in my backyard.
Yeah, I know. The stuff on top's dead. So I know the county has been enforcing that and having people getting called out and just checking on it. So the way I took it, you can burn in a barrel, but you can't have open fire.
No, you can't burn in a barrel. You can have a campfire. But you
Campfire.
can't burn in a burn barrel.
All right. The way I read it wrong then.
Totally stupid.
Dumb, but that's the way it is.
It's okay. No open burning then.
I Is there any talks of extending it, or?
There hasn't been.
I doubt it, because things are spinning up really fast.
Just one day.
No, not that soon. And then we have our meeting tomorrow. EMA stuff. Training, yeah.
David Brandon, Solicitor Report.
I believe everything's been spoken on tonight.
Nothing? No. Junior council.
You had half an hour.
All right, so a question came up. Can either of you guys put together a webpage or run one, or?
Put some bling in it.
Yes, I work at a rehab theater, and I've been working on all the posters, and I've been making signs. I got pictures, posters, and everything. I can definitely do it.
You can do a webpage?
Get on that, buddy.
What would that cost us?
I'm not sure.
We already have the domain name, so we just need to get it reestablished.
Please, the both of you, just
Consider a team effort.
consider and talk with Mrs. Sealy and see what we can do. That'll have to come to council, so if we're gonna pay for anything again. So, yeah, talk to her and get it on the agenda for next month, probably, if anything becomes of it, to see what we can do potentially. With that, keep in mind, whoever replaces you, they might need to know, so tell the school sends us to you guys. But kind of let them know that that would be part of their job if it's going to forward.
Okay. We need to put that on the agenda sometime if we actually start a website, but there's all sorts of stuff that can or can't be on there.
Next month, after they talk to her.
You falling asleep?
Thank you, Lily.
Yeah, I'll have to finish it right there.
So, anything else, you two?
You having a stroke right there?
Thanks, guys. There's COG meetings over in February.
I was talking.
Electronics recycling, May 4th. Shade Tree, Saturday, April 20th at 11, Morse Arboretum cleanup. Arbor Day celebration, 4th grade, May 3rd. And did I see correctly that we were awarded, again, Tree City USA? So we'll probably be getting that banner back in here again and taking a picture with Mrs. Schoonover. No, Preston, sorry. It's names that hard sometimes, sorry. Benefit auction, April 6th, Canton Elementary School, which that was 2 days ago. So all the library stuff, you guys can read that. I'm not going to go through all the rest of this. Support the Rialtos, support the local businesses. Canton Area Chamber of Commerce, Downtown Celebration, July 13th. Classic Car Show, August 2nd. And the tour of Armenia Mountain, North Central PA, 2024 Fall Foliage Tour, October 4th and 5th. A bunch of school stuff on there. Their board meeting is April 11th. Support the school and the students because they're our future. Next meeting, May 13th. Same time, right here, same place. Any need for an executive session afterwards? Motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make
George, I'll second. Is there any discussion? Roll call.
John? Neely? Vogel?
Aye.
Brooks?
Aye.
Williams? Yes. Preston?
Aye.
Kenny?
Have a good month, guys.